Queen's Park Rangers claimed their biggest win of the season so far on Friday night with a dominant 4-0 thrashing of Derby County at Loftus Road, spoiling new manager John Eustace's Rams debut and making it 2 W12 losses in the space of 10 days for the former R's assistant in the process. With Elias Chair leading the charge and finally getting both his first and second goals of the campaign under his belt, this latest victory makes it 7 home wins in 8 for Rangers and keeps them within 4 points of the playoff places with 13 games to go. I'm Connor, aka Hoopsa. I make QPR match previews, reactions, interviews and features, so let's break down this latest R's performance. If you enjoyed this reaction, don't forget to hit like and subscribe on YouTube, or follow and leave a rating if you're listening on Spotify or Apple. After late heartbreaking commentary last Tuesday night, Marty went for 2 changes, with Jonathan Varane returning to the starting lineup for the first time since Blackburn at home, and Yang Min-hyuk coming in for his first Rangers start in place of Paul Smith. New Derby boss Eustace meanwhile made 4 changes to the side that drew with Oxford United earlier in the week, with Yates, Osborne, Harness and Nyambe all given the nod for his first match in charge. For the first 15 minutes or so, it looked very briefly like we might have been at risk of bearing the brunt of a new manager bounce. County looked lively, they were playing the ball tidily on the deck, which to say has been a rarity this season would be an understatement, and we barely left our half. When we did get on the ball, we ourselves looked a bit stodgy and a bit flat, multiple times playing it off of the pitch. But to be honest, these are really the worst criticisms I can make of this Rangers performance, because once we took the lead, we barely looked back. I'd expected Derby to set up to sit in on us in this one. Their defensive numbers weren't dissimilar from our own ahead of kickoff, and having only been announced as manager barely 36 hours earlier, I didn't think Eustace would try to get such a goal-shy side going for it so soon, and I really think that was his biggest mistake. Multiple times they worked the ball into the channels, but rather than pumping across as they would have done in virtually every other match prior, they tried to work the perfect opening, which our backline dealt with capably. And unfortunately for Eustace and Derby, this Rangers side collectively woke up in a considerably more clinical mood than they had on Tuesday, needing just 1 chance to take the lead on 21 minutes. It actually started from one of the instances we put the ball out of play, Frey unable to find Koki on the left hand side, but immediately claiming it back from the resulting throw-in, which presented the first case of Derby being absolutely terrified of being pressed. Mickey shrugged off 2 defenders, dinked the ball back inside to the edge of the box, and Chair didn't even need to look at goal when he picked it up on the turn, because he was in what you would call quintessential Elias Chair territory, slicing the ball beautifully around the palms of the keeper and into the right hand side netting for his long awaited first goal of the season. Derby didn't look panicked and tried for an immediate reply, Abu Adams volleying a loose Edwards header in the box on 27 minutes that threatened to dip but couldn't find its way under the crossbar. But on 34 minutes, when Rangers found their second goal of the season from just their second shot on target, the tide of the game truly turned. Frey had flirted with an effort to rival Chairs a minute earlier, hitting the ball on the half volley 30 yards out from almost nothing, which were dangerously close to nestling in the top right corner. The build up for the goal that would come immediately afterwards showed you that Derby didn't fancy it at the back. Dunn's misplaced pass inside intercepted by Osborne, but not profited upon by any other yellow shirt, leaving Field with plenty of time to scoop it back up and work it straight across to Chair over the other side. He opted to turn on the outside this time, driving into the box and reeling off another sharp effort which Zetterstrom got down for, but he couldn't quite contain it, leaving Saito free to dance it past him on his right and blast it into the roof of the net for the lone winger's first at Loftus Road and second in 6 games. I can only assume this was the point when Eustace started to question why exactly he'd chosen to do what he'd done last week, because Rangers went purring into the second half. Yang Min-hyuk had been quite quiet for the opening half an hour, having had to play a little deeper than we'd seen previously off the bench, but he demanded everyone's attention on 37 minutes when he nutmegged Elder, spun on the outside and burst past the ensuing Derby mob, receiving the ball back in the middle from a lovely 1-2 with Frey before playing Saito into space on the left for a deflected shot. Things started to look so good we even beat the first man from the resulting corner, Steve Cook heading a foot shy of making it 3-0. Despite our efforts, Derby could have made it a testing opening of the second half when Elder's deflected cross wrong-footed almost everyone in our box at the end of the first and bobbled dangerously through the middle for Mendes Lang, but Powell recovered well and read the shot to push it out for a corner, which was duly dealt with. Eustace was the first to make a chance at the break, swapping Salverson for Berkhuizen, but Derby only looked progressively more lost in the second half, and QPR finding their third was a case of if rather than when. The Derby midfield just wasn't interested in shutting whoever was on the ball down, the defence could barely clear their lines, and that together made for mysterious happenings like 5'5" Koki Saito being able to rise considerably higher than Elder to win the ball, freeing Yang up to violate a continually at sea Matthew Clark with the deftest of touches, and burst into the box before cutting it back onto the penalty spot, which our number 10 made no mistake of blasting firmly into the back of the net to double his total for the evening and the season. If you watch it back, Saito had his arms in the air to celebrate long before the ball had even been crossed, which goes some way to telling you how fluidly this trio were attacking together. Our first changes of the game came on 62 minutes, Yang and Field making way for Smith and Morgan. 4 minutes later, Saito was taking the mick out on the right again, Mendes Lang unable to do anything but wipe him out cynically outside the box, and after being allergic to beating the first man earlier on in the week, Powell would go on to plant the most deliciously placed front post free kick he's ever taken onto Ronnie Edwards' head for 4-0, a goal the lone centre-back has been threatening in virtually every appearance since joining the club in early January. Respectfully, the rest of the match played out something like a training exercise, Chair missing a great chance at the back post on 71 minutes for his first career hat-trick, before making way 2 minutes later for Madsen as Frey departed for Lloyd, the former of those two changes all too telling of how comfortable Cifuentes must have felt at this point. Rangers very much eased off the gas as the game approached its close, Yates missing a glaring chance for a consolation goal at the back post on 82 minutes, before seemingly redeeming himself 4 minutes later from a harness cross, only to find it ruled offside by the linesman. If the match hadn't already petered out by this point, it slowly did to completion, and Rangers' biggest win since walloping Leeds United with the same scoreline 10 months ago was confirmed. It would be easy to write off such a good win by saying it was only against an out-of-sorts derby. In truth, we had barely had to get out of first gear, and I'd be surprised if we play another team this calendar year that gives us much space as they did. But there was so much to like about this QPR performance, and it's further evidence of a team moving in the right direction. Last season, we only took 9 points from a possible 18 from the eventual bottom 3, a tally we've already taken to 13 out of 18 based on the current bottom 3 sides. Having lost back-to-back games to Derby at Pride Park and Portsmouth at Loftus Road back in October, the latter a side who were in the bottom 3 and hadn't yet won an away game at that point, and still have only won just one since, it's a sign of improvement this season alone. It's the nature of the goals too. The attacking was fluid and clinical, Chair untouchable in the middle with a big nasty centre forward opening the gaps up, and wingers of equal pace and prowess causing trouble inside and out. The fact that we still have the likes of Dembele and hopefully a considerably less pressured Seller to drop into this bubbling cauldron is genuinely really exciting. The thing I'm most impressed by though is just like after Swansea and after Millwall, we just don't look that phased when our form looks like it's taken a hit. It would have been really easy to drop their heads after the way we lost at Coventry, but this QPR team dusted itself down, learnt from their mistakes, and got their reward in spades. Anyway, that's all from me. Do let me know, as usual, what you thought of this performance in the comments below. If you've made it this far and you're new to Hoopso, you've enjoyed this match reaction, please consider hitting like and subscribe. I'm closing in on 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I'd really appreciate your help in getting there. Thank you so much for tuning in once again, and I'll hopefully see you next time for my Portsmouth match preview. Cheers!